Hey, good afternoon and happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of PCA Live 3 at 3. We got a great show and a great company that we're going to be talking to today. We're going to be talking to Hiram and Solomon, George Dakrat, and we're also going to be hopefully joined by Fouad as well a little bit later. So this is going to be a good conversation. We're going to find out a little bit more about the history. They've got a really good lineup of cigars, and what in a particular angle that they have in terms of the foundation of their company and how they approach their cigar making and the sales as well. Let's get to know them, their history behind kind of where they've come from, and also get to know the lineup of cigars. I know that probably a lot of you may have heard of the company before, or may not necessarily know everything about them. And so we're going to hopefully fix all that today and get let everybody know everything we need to know about this good company. So on that note, let's bring up George Dakrat from Hiram and Solomon Cigars. George, how are you today? And thanks for joining us.
Good. How you doing? Thank you.
I'm doing well, thanks. So, right as we started, you shared some good news that you are now able to open up the lounge there and start selling some curbside. Is that correct?
Yes. Actually, I do own a lounge in New Jersey called Legend Lounge. It's in Brick, New Jersey. And we were completely closed since the COVID-19 started. They allowed us last week to open for curbside pickup. So we did open. And if actually we look at my store right now, you can see the chairs turned to the other way, facing the wall. We don't want anybody to walk in and think that we allow smoke in here or people to sit, because that would get us in trouble probably. So we have to be careful. Sales are starting to pick up, but not back to normal yet. A lot of people still not around, probably don't think we are open. Maybe they shorten money. Maybe they're not leaving the house. I don't know the reason, but slowly we are picking up.
That's very good news. I'm glad that you can at least open up for curbside right now. And so you've got the lounge, and then you also have the manufacturing side. And so which came first?
This is funny. Actually, with the cigars, they came together, and it all like accidentally. I was not planning on opening this shop, but they came exactly in the same month. But me and my partner Fouad, we are a retail business for over 20 years, actually. Originally, and we still own gas stations with stores. So I always sold cigars in my store, and so did Fouad, but not much. Like we will have like a variety of 10 to 20 boxes in the store, for people to pick up. And that comes from like us loving the cigars, and we are cigar smokers. So actually not too many gas stations will carry cigars. We are one of few that did. I'm not going to speak more because I know we will speak about the rest in other questions. So I want to interrupt your questioning.
Fouad just sent a message over here about how he can log in. I will, if you have his email, I can send him the link that he can log in.
Actually, don't send it to him. Don't let him log in. He's the one who sent me the link. He should be able to do it.
All you got to do is click that link, and Fouad, and I can add you to the broadcast. So that's hilarious. You can email me at Scott@PremiumCigars Fouad, and I can shoot you the link if you need that too. So you own these stores, you love cigars, and decided to kind of get into Fouad. So talk about that approach to why you wanted to start the cigars, and also the name Hiram and Solomon, and that whole philosophy about what your cigar brand is.
Great. As you are aware, we both are Freemasons, and we do meet regularly at the lodge. Our lodge is in Barnegat, New Jersey, where we meet regularly. And after the meeting, we will smoke a cigar together. Years ago, we used to smoke even in the basement of the lodge or inside the lodge, until the laws became more strict and we were smoking outside. But at that time, we always thought about making a cigar to honor the Masons, to carry the name of the Masons, because there was no cigar that was made to have a Masonic theme on it. And we kept talking about it for many, many years, like over maybe 10 years. Every time we say, let's make a cigar, until the idea really became like a reality, and we decided to make a cigar. Talking about the name, Hiram and Solomon are probably the biggest names in Masonic world, because Hiram is the engineer and the builder who built Solomon's temple, and we believe that our traditional Masonic traditional goes back to King Solomon. So King Solomon is Solomon in our cigar, and Hiram is his engineer who built his temple. Even Hiram is not a king. Hiram is more important for Masons than even King Solomon. That's why the name Hiram came first. Hiram is the person who kept the secret word and gave his life for that word, and he didn't give it up. So a lot of respect in our fraternity is for Hiram. That's the name of Hiram comes even before the name of Solomon, who actually was a king.
Interesting. Very, very cool.
So
it's always fun to hear about the brands. Yeah. No, I love hearing the stories about brands and the names and kind of where they come from, because they all have, by and large, a really good personal story to them, right? And when the meaning to the actual cigar manufacturers and the makers, right? And so it's always fun to hear about that. So you talked a little bit about this when we were on before we started the live broadcast, and so talk about. We'll get in, I think, probably a little bit more to some of this later about sort of the lines that you offer. But one of the really interesting things you talked about is how the purpose behind a lot of this is to giving back to charities and giving back to other causes. Talk about that approach and what it is that you actually do through your cigar sales and how you give back.
Originally, when we started the cigar, it wasn't even in our mind to become a business. We were thinking about making a few thousand cigars. When we finish them, we make more, sell them, and not even putting them in stores, sell them, make some smoke free for us, maybe, like we don't have to pay for our cigars anymore. So it will be smoke for free. And whatever left of the money, we make new cigars and we give the rest to charity. And that's how we started. Wasn't in our mind to become a company or to produce hundreds of thousands of cigars. Our first batch was 3 sticks and a couple thousand each. So it was not in our mind to become a company or a big company. It wasn't our dream, actually. But we made the first cigar, and Masons and non-Masons became very interested in it. And they suggested to put it in their stores, because originally we sold it online. Or we contacted the lodges to sell it. So now we have to put it in stores. Now we have to disable our online sales, because it will be disrespect for the stores to be their competitors. So each step was taking us to a different step. Each time we do something, we end doing something different what we originally intend to do in the beginning. So we start producing more cigars, no more online cigars. We put them in stores. We have to produce more. Now we have to hire people to sell them. So things were becoming like difficult for us. And of course, we end being like, you can't be in the middle. Really, you can't be like making it as a hobby while you are selling it and practice it as a business. So we have to choose one of both. We chose to become bigger. We chose to make it a business. And of course, always the charity was part of it. So part of the proceeds we do send to charity. We also help our lodges actually to make their own charities, and we support them. For example, before I told you about our Unity cigar, which was made for our Grandmaster, the Grandmaster of Masons of New Jersey, and it calls Unity because his year was Strength in Unity. And that cigar was meant to enable our Grandmaster to collect money to support his own charity. So on top of our being direct with our charities, which they are Masons and non-Masons, we help the other Masons to do their own charity.
That's outstanding. I have consistently seen this and then repeated it and said it a lot, is that I really don't know of an industry that does so much for charity than the premium cigar industry. So much of this industry is built on giving back and recognizing all the various aspects of the community around it that it takes really to produce and to sell the products, but they give so much back that it's so surprising to me that more people don't know and don't understand the size of the heart of this industry. And that's one of the great joys I take, honestly, in my position, is being able to describe that to people that don't necessarily know what premium cigars are all about. And when they ask me what it's all about, I talk about family. I talk about, the community aspect of what the industry is all about, because it underscores and informs and influences, I think, everything that the industry does. And it's an important story to tell. And I think what I said, I think it's one of my favorite parts about the job, is being able to extol all the great parts of the industry to folks. And part of that, you actually said that the Shriners, you're the one that you actually get to use their name because of your approach to charitable giving. So let people know a little bit about that, and that will kind of segue into us talking about your line of cigars.
Yeah. First, when we started, we wanted to choose a charity that we will concentrate on, like our charity, the one that Hiram Solomon is directly supported, and we choose the Shriners. We both are Shriners, actually, me and my partner. Shriners do a good job. They spend about $2 to $3 million a day, actually, on their hospitals that they all get from their charities, from their activities. Shriners have 22 hospitals in America that they support. And kids that go to Shriner Hospital, they have no obligation to pay a penny.
Yeah.
It's free if they don't have insurance. So they can get treated, and it's one of the best hospitals. So that's encouraged us to choose them to support. I mean, our support is very little considering to what others may do, actually. And people retire, Shriners retire to spend all their time helping and working for free for the Shriners. You have people who work in like more than 40 hours a week when they are retired. And that's all to support the Shriner hospitals and the Shriner cause. So actually, even what we do is not as big as some other brothers would do to support the Shriners. So we choose the Shriners, and we send them some money when we did our first batch that we sold, and then we start having more relations with the Shriners, and we approach them later saying like, okay, we want to honor you and make a cigar to carry your name, and they said yes, So we made our first cigar, the Shriner, and I mean, it wasn't our first cigar, actually, I'm sorry. We made the first batch of the Shriner, and it came, can you handle me that? We put it in a fez. The fez is what Shriners wear, and we made that fez as humidor. This humidor was made.
I see this is going to be amazing. I love it. That's a humidor, huh?
Was made actually in Nicaragua, and it was connected with 47 pieces of wood. Very nice. Like I remember having some of these like in my basement, and cigars were humidified for over a year. I didn't even have to throw a package of humidity in them. That's how good they were, because they're like over an inch of cedar inside that hold it. So, and that's how our relation started with the Shriners, actually. Today, we try to support them in more ways. We are invited to all their activities, try to sell cigars, push more cigars, making more profit, making more donations. But we also support like any other cause for the Shriners and for non-Shriners. So if we approach, we will help. Not always by giving donations, of course, but mostly by enabling them to raise their own donation. For example, I can give you $100, but I can give you $1,000 of product at lower price where you can make money of it. So it's not always about how big the check you write, it's how much you involve to support everyday activity of all these organizations, to enable them, instead of $100 and $200 and $500, to make few thousands. You know, this is what we believe our role is. It's not just writing a check at the end of the day, but working with every organization to enable them to make money for themselves, for their cause.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we do have a special guest on location. We have Fouad joining. How are you, Fouad?
Hello. Technical difficulties.
All good. How are you doing?
All right.
All right. So now this is the actual 3 at 3. Now that we've got the three here that are talking. We've just been talking with George just a little bit about the history of Hiram Solomon, the meaning behind the brand.
Yes, I was listening at the same time.
Oh, perfect.
I was listening on
all
one
right.
place, trying to log in on the other one.
That you are all caught up. Outstanding. So in terms of, now that I got you guys on here too, before we kind of dive into a lot of your offerings, I did kind of also want to talk to you guys about the impact that COVID has had on the business, and kind of what your current state is right now, and kind of what your outlook is for, you know, roughly the next 90 days. George talked a little bit about getting somewhat back to normal in New Jersey now being able to open, but in terms of the actual production and everything for Hiram Solomon, how is the company doing right now? What impact has COVID had on you, and what does your 90-day outlook look like right now?
George, hello, George. Do you want to take over that question because you were talking about it, or you want me to?
Okay, so talking about business during COVID-19, it was very tough. I mean, our main customers are brick and mortar, and most of them were closed. So we definitely had some tough time through that. But actually, we kept working. Curbside pickup started earlier in other states than it was in New Jersey, where we live. So these people were trying to support themselves and keep running their business. We had orders. We had many customers who do ship, so they were receiving orders and shipping them. So it helped us to keep going. And at the same time, we were always alert, always there for when we received the order to process it as soon as possible. So here we go. We're still in business today.
Excellent.
Yeah, our online sales, I mean, retailers that did online sales picked up a lot. Can you guys hear me from the wind or no?
Yeah. Yep. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Only just a little bit.
All right. Yeah, the retailers that do online sale, we saw a lot of pick up on their orders. So almost whatever we lost at the cigar lounges, of course, not going to be the same, but at least there were some increased online orders from the retailers. We do not sell directly to customers, but we encourage retailers to do it.
Oh, good. And so, I know that a lot of places are starting to reopen, and some businesses are starting to pick up. I don't know if you guys are starting to see that a little bit, but are you guys kind of feeling a little bit more optimistic about the next 90 days than we were for the past, 60 days? in terms of the outlook for Hiram Solomon and kind of generally more optimistic. I know that in a lot of places there's a little bit more optimistic feeling right now about businesses being able to open up and kind of getting a little bit back to more of a normalized situation.
In the northeast here, we're still closed down, but we see other states like Florida, Georgia, and stuff. They're opening, and we're hoping we start getting more orders and serve customers a lot more. As far as event, I don't know how that thing's going to go. Even though Texas had an event last week for us, I know Florida is planning on a big event on June 26th on Executive Cigar Lounge in Florida. So we're just gonna stay positive and hope things gonna be better for not just for the cigar industry, for everybody, because it's really it was rough for everyone.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. So as we dive into this now, I would like to just ask you both which cigar you are smoking, and then let's talk a little bit about the cigars you all make and you all offer.
I'm actually smoking a Lancero of Traveling Man. I tried to grab the other Lancero, but I didn't have one. So this is our first Lancero that was made.
Outstanding. I love Lanceros. There's not enough Lanceros out there, in my opinion. So
it's not a lot of Lanceros that draw nicely, actually. And this was our first concern. When we and Fouad talked about making a Lancero, we said we'll make very, very small batch because 80% of the Lanceros I smoked, they didn't draw. So we made it very small to make sure it will draw. And all these cigars came perfectly, nice drawing. We didn't have any problem. We sold the whole shipment in 1 week and no complaint about it.
That's great. Batting 1,000 there. How about you, Fouad? What are you smoking?
I'm smoking the Grand Architect. It's a Toro size. That's a Corojo with 2 Lajeros in it. It's a very beautiful smoke, mild plus, I would call it. It's beautiful for this time of the day. The one that George was smoking, it's an Indonesian wrapper, Indonesian Sumatra wrapper, and has Dominican, Brazilian, and 2 regions of Nicaragua in it. They're both beautiful. And as George mentioned, we were very concerned about the Lancero when we first introduced it. But the success of it, we end up making another, the Veil Prophet, which is the Brazilian Arapiraca, another one. And that was a great success also.
Oh, excellent. Now, when I initially saw the band, so that right not too far away from our office in Old Town Alexandria, there's the George Washington Masonic Temple that's there.
Right.
So right out in front basically is your band. It's got the square and the compass. And so I thought that was I saw that it's kind of remarkable and it's striking. And so I think it's fairly recognizable to a lot of people. But I don't know if a lot of people don't know. I don't know if you guys want to kind of get into sort of that aspect. I know George talked a little bit about the history of Hiram Solomon and the name and the meaning behind the fact that you all are Masons and the importance of Hiram Solomon within Masonry. But I don't know if you kind of wanted to talk about the actual band and the brand itself of that square and that compass or not.
The square and compass is technically the iconic emblem of the Masons, as you see here. And we chose it to be on our band with the original color being the blue, and because blue for Masons, it's a color of the sky, color of the heavens, and we are called. We meet in the blue lodges because of the sky and stuff. We chose it to be on the 1st degree because each degree has different setting of the square and compass. Depends which degree you are in. We chose it to be on the 1st degree because. At the beginning, as George was mentioning before, we made the cigar for the brothers, for us, and then when it went out to the public, we were not sure under which hand it's going to be, because until now we still get questions. Actually, 2 days ago, why your square and compass is not on the 3rd degree; it's on the 1st degree, and of course that came from Mason. That question. So the reason for that was technically we did not. A lot of people are going to be smoking and are not going to be a Mason, so we put it on the 1st degree, and that goes back to our mode of recognition. If I want to know if you're a Mason or not, I will give you a certain grip, hand grip or something on the 1st degree to see if you respond. So that's why we chose that. Uh, the square and compass itself has a lot of Masonic meanings, and the G in the middle, it's technically refers to God and geometry. We call our God or your God, any God, as long as you believe in one God. We don't care that God is, as long as you believe in one supreme being. That we call him the grand architect of the universe. That could be Jesus, that could be Allah, could be whomever, Buddha, whomever it is, as long as you believe in one. Uh, Unlike many people that think we don't believe in religion and stuff, actually you cannot be an atheist and become a Mason. So that's part of our teaching for you to believe in one supreme being. And this is where this cigar came in play. We called it the Grand Architect, and you see the hands of God coming from the cloud, holding the square and designing the word.
Yeah. I was going to say that the name kind of speaks for itself, the Grand Architect. And so
Right.
I kind of wanted, again, you guys have some fascinating names, and I just kind of want to go through a little bit about the product lines, maybe the meanings behind the names, but also, the architecture, pun intended, of the cigars themselves, and, how they're built and your approach to them, what their flavor profiles are. And so what is you said it is the Traveling Man. Is that correct, George? That's what you're smoking right now?
Yes, traveling man, that's another name for Mason. We travel, searching the light, searching the truth. We travel always to the east. So traveling man means a Mason.
Gotcha. Okay. So Fouad talked a little bit about that with the Indonesian wrapper and sort of the makeup of it. What, if you were to recommend that to somebody, what are you recommending as far as that cigar? What is the flavor profile and what's the makeup of that cigar?
So let me take you back on the originally when we first started with George, and where we sat down, what we're gonna name the cigars and how we're gonna name them.
Sure.
And this is where we came up. Technically, the original 3 degrees of the Mason for you to become a fully pledged Mason are 3 degrees: Enter Apprentice, the Fellow Craft, the Master Mason. And we decided to make our cigars according to that. The Enter Apprentice being the mild cigar, which is the Connecticut wrapper.
Very cool.
Which we added some Paraguayan to it and some Dominican to give it a little kick. Connecticut being a little bit a boring tobacco, we added the Paraguayan to give it a little kick, prepare you, as the Enter Apprentice degree prepares you for the Fellow Craft degree. So that little kick in the Connecticut wrapper prepare you for the medium cigar, which is the Fellow Craft. Gotcha. And we give that little bit more kick to prepare you for the 3rd degree, the full body cigar, which we called it the Master Mason. So those are the original line. And as George explained right now about the Traveling Man, that's another name of the Masons. The rest of the cigars, the Shriner, are part of the Masons. So we call, after the 3rd degree, you get to join a couple of subgroups, whether it's the Scottish Rite or Shriner or Knight Templars, York Rites. So each has different charities that they deal with, especially the Shriner Hospital. And the Veil Prophet, it's another subgroup of the Masons that have heart centers. And the Grand Architect, of course. So most of our cigars, all our cigars actually, they have names that refer to either a time of history or philosophy or teaching that a Mason or non-Mason, we encourage non-Mason to go search and look for those meanings to see why we named the cigar give our cigar such names.
Oh, that's really cool. I love the depth behind sort of the thought process and the story and everything for the brands. Where do you get your tobaccos from?
Well, the question is where we make it. We make it right now at Plasencia in Nicaragua. But of course, the tobacco is from all countries, from different countries. As Fouad mentioned, we had some Paraguay tobacco, some Dominican tobacco in it, some Brazilian. So we don't discriminate. Like wherever we can get the tobacco that we need to get the taste we need, we will get it. And thank God, we make it at Plasencia where they have a variety of tobacco available, so you can pick and choose actually.
Yeah, Plasencia is great. So I always love asking this question from the folks that put these cigars together, because it's so fascinating to me, because I love the different flavors and the different notes that I get off of cigars. And I appreciate the craft because I know that it's something that I probably would not be very good at. So I would like to, what's your approach when you're putting a cigar together and how you're going through this whole process of tasting and where you want to get to? I mean, it sounds like you guys had a pretty good idea when you were starting about this idea of the entered apprentice and going down into the master mason in various degrees. But in terms of, do you have an idea in mind when you're going to go make a cigar? Here's the flavor profile that I want, and here's where we're going to go after it. Or is it a matter of kind of sitting down and saying, kind of what's available, and let's see what we got, and let's see if we make something that we really like. What is that process like for you guys? What are you kind of aiming for when you go into sort of these productions for new lines?
No, technically, I mean, George and I, we always have one thing in mind, that whatever cigars we're gonna make has to be different than what the ones we have. We have an idea what we're looking in a cigar, whether it's gonna be a mild or medium or full body, the notes that we want inside that cigar, the strengths also, and the strengths and the flavor. Especially the strengths, we try to relate it on with the name that we're gonna call it. So if that name belongs to something in the masonry that it's higher up, we usually give it a more flavorful profile. Like the Enter Apprentice, the first degree was our mild cigar, and so on. So when we go to the factory, technically we sit with the master blender. We tell him our profile. We're gonna be honest. We're not gonna brag. We're gonna be honest. We both have no idea about tobacco. We know how to smoke a cigar. We know what differentiate between a good cigar and non-good cigar. I cannot myself tell you if I hold a tobacco, this comes from Paraguay or comes from Indonesia. I have no clue. I'm not going to lie about it, and I'm sure George will tell you the same thing. But we know our taste, we know our profile, we know what people are looking for, especially with George having a cigar lounge that he's a retailer himself. He talks to customers many times a day asking about their profile. So according to that, they'll put a blend together for us. We smoke it and we keep on going with it until we come up with the final blend that we really like. And the least of our try on one cigar was 27 different tries, up to almost 38, George? 38 for the most stuff. And the funny story, the first time we went to Plasencia, we had no clue how we're going to blend the cigar. And the first cigar came, we tasted it, we said, okay, you know what, no, we need a little adjustment, we need a little here, there. So in between those two cigars, they always gave us a Cuban coffee. Now, Cuban coffee comes with a lot of sugar also.
Yeah.
No matter how many times we told them no sugar, it came with sugar. The first day, we end up with 27 cigars. And in between came out 27 cups of coffee. 3 o'clock in the morning, we're sitting across each other from in bed, and each one of us eyes wide open. And George looks at me and goes, "Motherfucker, excuse my language, motherfucker, why you not sleeping?" I say, "Why you not sleeping?" And we're both agitating, like, we cannot sleep. We're just like, I don't know what's wrong. Something not right today. To tell you, it took us 2-3 days to get rid of the
that is
nicotine and the caffeine.
Yeah, I drink a lot of coffee. You guys felt like you're back in college, pulling ready for like an all-nighter or something, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was rough, but we learned, and we went from there.
So George,
our philosophy when we make a cigar is not to be stuck up and take other people's opinion. So when the first cigar we made, we said we're going to make a cigar that we both like. If we have no customers, at least we have 2 customers, me and you. Who will smoke? Later on, when we were going to Plasencia, for example, anybody who's there visiting Plasencia factory, we will grab him, sit down, smoke with us, and tell us your opinion. I mean, when you follow yourself and you don't listen to anybody and you decide, oh, this is what I want to make, and all the people have to like it, then you may make a cigar that you only like yourself. You know, listen to people, see what they like, what they want. Like our first cigar was made in Dominican Republic, actually. and the first three cigars. And when we went to Placencia, we rebranded the cigars. We had that much book, like notes and notes and notes from people for 2 years that they've been sending us. We kept each note, what they liked and what they didn't like about the cigar. And these notes, we give them to the master blender there and said, like, this is the cigar. Check the tobacco in it, see what you want to do, but also check all these notes and apply them. And the cigar came way better than it used to be. So listen to your customers. Listen to what people tell you. Don't be stuck up.
Yeah, you answered the question before I was actually going to ask it. Was just generally how much input do you take from your customers there, and
A lot, a lot.
work. So that sounds in that's always a secret in businesses. How much do you take and trying to filter out the good and the bad comments and the trial and error and everything, right? Because I mean, you could have 5 customers on one side that hate it and 5 customers on the other side that love it. At the end of the day, how do you make that decision if that's actually the road that you're going to go down? So, drink a lot of Cuban coffee apparently is the secret to that success, right?
Yeah, Scott, I totally agree. And we'll take the good with the bad. And we encourage people to tell us the bad because we want to know if there is something wrong. We want to improve on it. One of the guy who rated one of the cigars, he was a Robusto traveling man. For whatever reason, that cigar did not smoke well with him. It didn't draw. He gave it 65, and we sent him an email saying thank you. We appreciate your input. We're going to look into this problem, and we'll take it as an honest opinion. And he sent us back saying technically, this is the first manufacturer who did not yell at me saying that why you gave us 65. And no, if that's what you smoked, then we might have a problem. We dig deep into it to see what it is, why this problem. We sent him more cigars that rested a little more differently, and eventually got much better rating, actually got 93. So one bad cigar in a bunch and stuff like this, but we do listen. Definitely, as George said, to the customers, and we appreciate them. All we ask them is honest opinion. There's nothing hurts our feelings anymore. Give me your honest opinion, and we'll try to, and because that's going to help us improve. That's all.
Yeah, no, and I really like that approach just because, coming again from somebody like me, I'm such a novice and all, I mean, I know what I like. I've been smoking a long time, but, I love the approach for you guys to say, look, we don't know about this kind of stuff. So we're going to go find experts that do, but we also know what we like because we've smoked a lot. And so it just kind of, I think, underscores what you were just talking about there, that it's a collaboration between you as a conduit from consumer feedback out through those that are kind of putting the blends together, find something that you like and that you have been saying, yeah, this is what our customers have been asking for. On the one side, I think that obviously that collaboration with those that are putting the cigars together for you and blending them. But on the other side of it, I think it really speaks to how important the lines of communication and relationships with your customers are, in your retail stores as far as that. I mean, not only, especially for those that may not necessarily have their own line of cigars like you all do, but I know that there's a lot of stores that will do, store blends or store specials or for special events too, which, can be an important part of their line of cigars and importance for drawing customers in for their events. But then also too, what lines to bring in for customers, especially because you can open them up to new cigar experiences, new cigar journeys, new smoking journeys. With various lines, because there are variances, and even if it is coming from Placencia that does a lot of different cigars, there can be a lot of nuance to what they're putting together that can really speak to a consumer's palate that would open them up to a new experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the last cigar that we blended, and with every cigar, usually after we blend it, we bring a couple of bundles with us, and we take it to give it to customers. Please smoke it. No bends on it, nothing. Smoke it. Let us know your honest opinion on it. And we take these notes, as George said before, and we put them together to see should we keep the same blend or improve on it, or there's any problem with it.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of beautiful cigars in the market, and we need to keep up with it. That's all.
Yeah, it's a great time to be a cigar consumer. There's no question.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. The last 10 years, everybody stepped up their game, and you find amazing, beautiful cigars. And I encourage everyone not just to smoke Hiram Solomon, smoke everything. enjoy yourself. There's beautiful cigars there.
Yeah, it's I have a lot of friends that will ask me about various cigars, and I say this as like, look, to be honest with you, you kind of have to hunt for a bad cigar these days. Uh, it's pretty difficult to find a truly a bad cigar these days. There are some that exist out there, but like you said, it's by and large, everyone is up their game and is making such beautiful product. That's my whole point with folks is go experiment and go across the board. Go buy something that you don't think that you have ever smoked before, or a profile that you've never smoked before, and just test it. And this is the other thing that I love to talk about with folks. And I kind of want to get your thoughts on this and kind of your approach with your cigars and pairings. Because I was at when a couple of my friends got married, we ended up going to this winery and they did a pairing for us. And I've never liked sweet wines. And so they had a port. And so we drank the port, and again, sweet, I didn't like it too much. But then they said, it's a blue cheese stuffed date. And so we ate that. They said, now drink it. And it completely changed the complexity of the wine for me to where it was a great experience. I enjoyed it. And so it's fantastic. And that complexity. And for me, it's the same with a cigar. And, there was a time where I had never had a cigar with a meal before. After having a cigar with a meal now, again, completely changes that experience, changes the way that cigar is enjoyed and how it hits my palate in different ways, whether I'm drinking a wine or a bourbon or coffee, whatever the case may be. That's why I tell folks, buy something that you think you may not necessarily like, but try it with a different pairing that you've never had before with that cigar.
Absolutely.
Absolutely change that entire cigar for you. And now an experience where that cigar is perfect for you. Because I think that by and large, cigars across the board, you'll be able to find something for any occasion that'll meet your palate. But I kind of want to talk to you guys about that. You're blending, right? You guys have this great insight now to these cigars you're putting together. What types of things do you like, or situations in which you pair your cigars, and what are the types of pairings you like with various of your lines? So I don't know if you want to even pick a particular favorite of yours, of Hiram Solomon, and say, I like this one with coffee, I like this one with bourbon, or I like this one with steak, or any number of those things. I think it would be great insights into kind of where your cigars are at with your palates and your pairings.
For me, and I know it's personal for everyone. I think what pairs for me probably it's not true for somebody else. But in particular, let's say I'm a Scotch drinker and I like single malts, and I like to pair them with my cigars. The Connecticut in particular, it's a coffee for me, nothing else, just a coffee. The traveling man that George is smoking over there, I don't even want to pair it with anything. That has so much flavor that I don't want to kill it with anything else. And again, cigar, and I want everybody to, to understand this. It's a living organism. Organism. My mind somewhere else.
It can be.
Yes, and sick. Yeah, a pervert cigar. It's a living organism, and it changes with the mood. So the cigar that you smoke today, you enjoy it with the Scotch. Tomorrow, if my mood is different, then I'm gonna need something else with it. So it all depends on my mood, on the environment, who I'm sitting with, and that's how I pair my cigars. There is no specifically specific, but if I'm gonna talk in general, single malt goes with most of the cigars that I smoke.
How about you, George?
Actually, we have a tradition normally. If we are together, we smoke the Inter Apprentice, which is the Connecticut, with coffee in the morning. The rest of the day, I only drink cognac and whiskey. So it has to be any of them. I don't drink every day. So that's funny, but it goes with water.
Scott, I was in a Zoom meeting last Saturday with about 15 people. 15 people from probably some from UK, New Zealand, France, US, of course, one from the Middle East and Lebanon. And the same question came in. And at that time, we agreed on a prior Zoom meeting that we're going to all smoke one cigar, the same cigar, all of us. And we're going to give our opinion about it. And each one of us almost have something else that paired it with that cigar. Starting from water to the craziest stuff. One guy says like Perrier. That's it. He likes Perrier with his cigars. There was water, there was coffee, there was Perrier, there was a single malt, there was gin. There were some people drinking gin, port with the same cigar. 15%. There was only 2 people that had single malt with the cigar. 13 other ones. Each one have something different.
That's interesting. So
each one liked it with that.
That's great. Did you guys kind of get into maybe what you were tasting throughout and were there massive differences?
I mean,
that's really fascinating.
Before we light up the cigar, we spoke about the cigar, first light, second light, the first third, as we going, what you're tasting, what you're smelling. And surprisingly, there were a lot of common ground in there. And there are some stuff that, I mean, that people came up with that was crazy. One of the ladies said that it reminded her when she was her grandmother up in the farms in England, in the UK, when she used to cut the grass, that hay smell.
Yeah.
And another one came up with the donut berry. So it was some crazy stuff here and there, but in general, most of them got the notes that we think is inside that specific cigar that we smoked. And it was the Unity cigar, actually, that we all smoked. It's a cigar that it was made for our New Jersey Grandmaster, and his theme for his year was Unity, and that's why we chose that cigar, because I think that was the perfect time with what's going on in the world right now, what's going on here in the States and stuff like this, that we said, we have a cigar called Unity, let's all smoke that Unity, just to prove we all one, we all stuff. So we have that cigar, we smoked it, and that's where all the notes we took it.
That's really cool. I did want also, because we're going to be coming up on our hour here, so I did want, for any retailers that are watching or will watch this, and if they are interested in bringing in the products, do you have a particular, do you say, hey, bring these products in first, or are there recommendations, or what would you recommend if they want to bring in 1, 2, or 3? How would they get started kind of with Hiram Solomon? How do they get in contact with you guys to get these, and kind of your recommendation to start bringing in your products onto their shelves?
Scott, actually, I was going to say that before. We don't want to take over any store or flood our brand in the store. And this is the reason why we are very careful how many sticks we made and how many sizes. We only have 8 sticks and mostly 3 most popular sizes, except for the couple Lanceros. And the way we designed our boxes is they will go more vertical, so they don't take a lot of space in the store. And any store can bring all our line without sacrificing or taking the business of other brands. If he take one size of the 8 of them, it will only take like 3 feet.
3 feet max.
Yeah. So we're not looking to conquer the store. He can carry all our lines without sacrificing any other brand.
We do require new retail. I mean, the first new retailers that are looking to get our brand in their stores, they can log in on our website under become a retailer. They can fill up the application and we respond. Our only requirement is carry one size at least of each of the brands. And we are one of the companies that we work with the retailers. So if the Connecticut in that area does not work, that doesn't sell, and we know each market has their own preferences, so we will keep on exchanging and stuff until we come up with the right formula for that specific store. Now the seven boxes that minimum that we require, of course, if somebody has 2 by 2 feet little stuff, we're not going to ask him to put 7 boxes. Eventually he will get to the 7 boxes when he sees that the 4 boxes that we put in is selling. We leave it to the stuff, and our sampler pack are doing great. They don't need a walk-in humidor space. They can be on the counter. They can be anywhere. They're doing great. So, and proudly I would say that we are probably the only manufacturer that offer a full refund if we put our cigars in your shop and we try every possible way to sell that cigar and the cigar doesn't do good, we have one request: you will never ever put that cigar in a discount bin. We will buy them back. And one reason for that, it's because those cigars carry our symbol, and we respect that symbol so much that we refuse to put them in a discount bin. And so far, nobody took advantage of that, thankfully. We're confident of our brand that we are 3 years in a row now, one of the fastest growing boutique cigars in the market. And hope in a few years will be a household brand for cigar smokers.
Oh, that's great. I like that a lot, especially the fact that no one's ever had to even taken you up on that. But that's a great incentive. I mean, right? It's kind of you got nothing to lose then in that regard, right? So you might as well. Yeah, that's a great incentive for retailers. Just have two last questions. One is, have you generally held events with retailers, and if so, what are some of some of your more favorite events that you've done with some retailers?
We've done events all over the U.S. and Europe and the Middle East, everywhere. At one time, it became so crazy that we were in a different hotel every day. Technically, you wake up at the night looking where is the restroom? Is it on the right or is it on the left this time? So each event has its own flavor. Each event has its own customers. George and I love to meet people, and we like to talk about it. And surprisingly, a lot of people wanted to know not just about the cigars; they wanted to know about the Masons also. So we always end up talking about the Masons as much as we talk about the cigars, and we became a brand ambassador for our fraternity also, not just for the cigars. And we brought in a lot of people to the fraternity through our cigars also, because people did not know where to go, or there was always somebody in the family who was a Mason. They was always curious about it. If you look at our band over here, it says there is marquee. It says to be one, ask one. Right on top of the name, it says to be one, ask one. Each our cigars carry that. So we don't ask you to become a Mason. You have to ask. So that carries a lot of questions. And when you sit in the cigar lounge, the first thing you ask your fellow smoker, what you're smoking. And they usually, okay, I'm smoking this, that. And the minute that they see the square and compass, oh, I know that symbol. My father was, my grandfather, or stuff, and create that conversation that leads to different stuff. Any particular event, George, that you want to talk about?
No, I love my last event because the event in Massachusetts, I went to visit the lodge there, and it was already COVID-19, and some people didn't show up because it wasn't the beginning, so some people didn't show up. Some people did, but we really have a good time. And the best of it, I didn't go anywhere after that, so it's still in my mind. If the brothers are watching now, hi. I miss you. I'm coming back to Massachusetts soon. Hope to see you again. Hope we can travel again and meet everyone worldwide. I love international ones because then, you speak with people with different languages, and you meet people who like Europeans, Asians, all that. All events are beautiful and good. As far as they always say, like, the best cigar you smoke is with a friend, with someone who doesn't complain a lot. I don't want to use other words, but the cigar is the one who always complains and who's never happy. And whatever you give him, whatever you offer him, something's still wrong in that cigar. Something's still wrong in the event. Something is wrong with the food. Come on, enjoy it, drink.
Something is wrong in the world, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But probably one of our probably best event that we every year we look forward to it. It's the Shriner event in Boston that we go to, George and I. Every year we make sure that will be about 650 people. It's always sold out, and we enjoy the brotherhood, the camaraderie, and a lot of people don't understand that brotherhood of the cigar that brings those people together, that connection between cigar smokers and the connection between the Masons. also. So I call every Mason in the world a brother, whether he's in Sweden or we're here. The minute we meet each other, we recognize each other as Masons. We are a brother. Same with the cigars. We have a connection like no other cigarette smoker don't have. And we always say, George and I, that we did not invent cigars. We did not create Masonry, but we surely mastered to combine both of them together.
That's
cigars for us at the end, it's a brotherhood, it's a conversation, it's a beautiful talk, it's a beautiful memories, and that's what we look forward to every event.
So the last couple minutes. Oh, sorry, George, go ahead.
We have an event this weekend, and it's actually in our lodge, so we're looking forward to smoke with our brothers at our lodge in Barnegat. Have some good time. We've been away, we didn't see each other for 3 months now, so looking forward to that.
So last question, when we got just a few minutes left here, just to kind of get to know you a little bit better as people. So non-cigar, non-Mason, what's a favorite hobby of yours, or what can we find you doing if you're not, in the lodge or you're not doing cigars? What's a favorite hobby of yours, or what's a favorite activity you guys like to do?
Smoking, actually.
And apart from cigars and apart from being at the lodge.
we 25 years. Every time we met, we smoked cigars. Sometimes pair it with the scotch, but that's.
Besides that, I personally like operas. I like classical music myself, and we enjoy all the beautiful things that life gives us, and a little bit I think, but there is no specific things that we do. There's not even one time that I met George without smoking a cigar
And cooking.
and cooking.
Yeah.
George, yeah, George is George. You can say that. That's your hobby, honestly.
Yeah.
So what's
George is a great chef.
What's your signature dish, George?
Hummus.
Oh, not well. Yeah, Hiram Solomon hummus. You got to do a hummus and cigar pairing now.
Absolutely.
George has a specific signature dish. Actually, it's a duck that he makes. I love it. The duck that he makes. The duck.
Oh,
Very nice.
Yeah, he makes a really good duck.
Outstanding. One last question before we let you guys go. Joe on Facebook asked, which lodge are Hiram Solomon connected to? Is it your New Jersey lodge, or is it just sort of
No, it's a Mariners Lodge number 150 that is part of Grand Lodge of New Jersey.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, gentlemen, that concludes our hour. George and Fouad, I want to thank you both for taking some time today to talk to us. Retailers, get in contact with me if you want to bring Hiram Solomon in. Great lineup of cigars there. Great causes that they give back to for all the proceeds from all the sales. Do go back to charity. Not all the proceeds, but they do have proceeds that go back to charity. So great company, phenomenal story, great guys. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
you for having us, Scott.
See you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.